Thank you so much for coming, all of you, from the friends that I've taught with to friends outside the teaching world, for all of my friends from high school. It's such a treat for me to see you. It really is, and all of the fun that we've had together. Such a treat for the teachers that are here. In a minute, I have to talk to you, Tarj. There's just so much respect that I have for you, and didn't realize how much respect until I grew up and became a teacher, and I didn't. Now think about it. He was our dean. We were not fun. Some of us were not fun. I want to say thank you for being part of the closings of such an incredible career that I've had. Each one of you have touched my lives in some way, whether it be a friend, a colleague, a student. How special it is to have Thomas Campbell, Stephanie Campbell, John Johnson, Scott Hansen here. I taught them all, and not just 1 year. There was a time in my life we were year-round, and I would teach first grade, and then I would teach second grade, and I would just end up, they would follow me. I would have them again, and then I'd have them in third grade. And you were my favorite class, and I know I say that a lot, but seriously, I feel like I grew up with you. I'm so happy to see you. Thank you. And I'm going to say one thing, and there's pictures somewhere in one of the pictures. Back in the day, this just doesn't happen anymore, but back in the day, all of our end of the year parties were at Scott Hansen's swimming pool. You can't do that in today. You just don't get to go to a private house. You don't get to do it. Steph?
Interjection that we used to go in your Datsun to McDonald's on Fridays.
Oh, yeah, no, we did some. We don't get to do those things.
We don't get Happy Meals.
We did. We had a lot of freedom. We did have a lot of freedom. There's a picture somewhere where I was teaching second grade at the time, and I had a slumber party for for all of the girls. So they came to my house, and I lived clear across town. And the parents let them come. You wouldn't do that today, Zero. They would be talking about you. And the boys were really irritated, so they talked me into letting them have their night of slumber party. So they all came to my house and spent the night. I never closed my eyes because they were rambunctious and just could not settle down. But those are my memories of things that just do not happen anymore. Thank you to my girls. I can only say one thing. I am so proud of you. And you are my world, and I know you know that. You are my world. I am a very lucky parent, and I'm going to say, is that my phone? Sorry. And I'm going to say one thing to Lindsay. Lindsay, I do not want you to downplay that beautiful job that you have. Yes, it's in wine and liquor, but I want you, I'm proud to say that she just last week or the week before made district manager, and there's such, clap for her. This is awesome. I'm proud. I'm a very, very proud parent. And then we've already talked about M, and all the teaching, and you guys covered that, and I'm very, very proud. And I have to say, yes, I think my kids are very well-rounded. I think they're, gosh darn perfect. But it didn't just happen with me. I want to thank Elisa Cordero and Manuel Cordero because they raised them while I was teaching, along with, raise your hand, Elisa used to babysit, and she lived right behind my school, and she would bring them in strollers. She'd bring them over to see me at school. I loved it, and you were such an example for them. And that's how they turned out, was from your example. I had such trust, and I admired your entire family. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you to, they're not here, but thank you to my parents who inspired my passion for music and dance. My parents danced all the time. They would have parties. I mean, TV wasn't a big deal. Clear back in my time. It wasn't a big deal. They would clear out the garage. They would spackle, put some stuff down so people could slide, and everybody danced. And my father taught me how to swing dance when I think I was 4. And I didn't go off and play with the kids. I would sit with all the adults, and they would dance with me. That was my joy. I loved it. Don't want to get too far away here. I want to thank my teachers at Eastern Elementary School. I am a product of, and I know I'm somewhere, my class, Mrs. Mansfield, I was one of those kids that constantly, can Linda and I get up and do a routine for class? I was one of those buggy kids that just basically wanted to entertain. And they always let me. And when my kids at school say, oh, can we show you? Sometimes I don't want them to. I'm busy. But you know what? I take that time because I remember back. That's how my teachers were, and I loved it. Everyone has a teacher that inspires them. My teacher was Lena Rutt. She changed my life. She really did. I don't know that I would have gone on to college. I adored her so much. And she gave me that passion for performing. And I thought, oh, you know what? I am going to go to college. I'm going to become a PE teacher, and I'm going to have my own drill team, and that's what I want to do. I had no idea that you had to have all the science that you did to become a PE teacher. So I quickly had to change, and not that liberal studies isn't heavy, because it was, but I had to take that route. Little did I know, after 39 years, I would have to get that flippin' PE credential to continue doing dance at Barrett. It was done in 3 years, and 2 days after, no, two days after I told Brent that I was going to retire, the state of California sent me my PE supplemental. And you know what? Oh, who cares? But that's kind of how I roll too. I have to, okay, start something, I'm going to finish it. Because I could have just said, oh, no, they'll never catch me. I'll retire before I have to have that credential. But no, I completed it. I want to, so back to Leonard. Reyes definitely was my world. Girls, what I would give. What I would give if I could still do the splits. No, and that was always my goal. Even as I was an older person, I thought, you know what? I am going to keep those splits up. I am. No, that did not happen. We had such a good time in Mexico. Oh my gosh, we could sit and just talk and tell stories, couldn't we? Of just our fun that we had. One of the things that I remember was, and I wasn't just the only short person. Sue was the other bookend. And we were the bookends, and we'd have to make a trek, didn't we, to just get across? We loved it though. It was a big part of our life. I have to thank Targe Lindsay, and at the same time, I need to apologize. I need to apologize for my immature behavior a good portion of the time, and for the food fights in the cafeteria. You just never knew what was going to happen. And I was in the middle of everything. I was just in the middle of everything. And I also have to apologize. I really am a tomboy in feminine clothes. I have a lot of, I want to be in with the boys, and I want to do all this stuff. And I'm apologizing, Targe, because I'll never forget when he called me to his office. Targe, you might not remember this, but I was with a lot of boys over the weekend, and I was with a lot of the boys, and we stole the steamroller on our tennis courts at Rio that they hadn't finished building the tennis courts. And we took it, we were right on the river. And so we drove it to the levee, and then drove up and down the levee on the steamroller. And you, and Frost, were you part of that? Yes. Oh, yeah, I love it. Were you, Brad? No. Oh, well, you did other things, though. Like steal the totem pole and...
I remember you going over the levee with about 8 boys.
Yes, I did, but only to drive the steamroller. Of course, you could. Oh. Targe, when he called me in the office, she said, I just want you to know that you have an appointment with juvenile hall. And they didn't take it, I mean, yeah, it was one of those things, we were all shocked. And I remember that when we had the appointment, I remember the juvenile, or the probation officer, whatever, saying, would you just, I said, well, it was just there. We drove it. And he goes, if you saw a parked car, would you just go get in it and drive it? They were so disgusted. My parents were thrilled, by the way. But, you know, it was those fun things. Thank you, Janet, for coming and for all the kind words. When I did my student teaching, at Cottage Elementary School, and the principal was Joan Fuqua. My principal at Star King was Bill Fuqua. So when he heard that, and read the list of the student teachers that his wife had, he said, no, that can't be Debbie Massa. And so she said, well, I don't know, but yeah, that's Debbie Massa. So he came, caught me in the hallway before I went in class, and he said, Debbie? He goes, I just had to see for myself. To see if you, well, yeah, it was me. And, you know, we mature. I wasn't a scholar, but you know, I could persevere and I did other things. And that possibly scholars can't do. So, and then I moved on, and he was thrilled. He sent me a wonderful letter, and he just was very proud. And then from my student teaching, I actually grew up at Sunrise Elementary School. I did some bizarre things as a young teacher. Margaret, you were right there with me, just being as bizarre. And Margaret, what a wonderful 25 years we spent together teaming. Because Margaret and I were both started there while we were getting our credentials, started there as an aide while we were getting our credentials. So we spent 8 time in the classroom, and for 4 years, and then we taught. I think about the maturity that I have now, because there was a time at a staff meeting, I wouldn't do that now with Brent, but there was a time at a staff meeting, I would paint my nails. That's what I felt like doing. And, you know, they were just dumb little things. I just wouldn't do that now, Brent. And maybe the last 20 years I wouldn't have done that, but the first 20 I did. Someone mentioned my skirt. I think it was you. Mentioned, because that was my student team, that was my first year of teaching. And they said, oh, your skirt, it's so short. And I can remember my principal, Bob Green. I'd be walking in the hallway, and it was a time when mini skirts were really, when I'm teaching, and he walks by and he goes, Debbie, those skirts have got to come down. I go, Bob, that's fashion. And I just go about my business and he never said one more thing. I wouldn't do that now either. Also at Sunrise is where I met my dear girlfriend, Karen Williams. And Karen, we had an attachment right from the start, didn't we? And we have remained best girlfriends for all these years. Karen, one of my favorite stories is when Karen called me and she said, oh, I had moved on to do my student teaching, and she said, oh, I met a guy, and he's a new teacher at Sunrise, and we've started dating. So who? She said, Rick Williams. I go, Rick Williams? I said, that was my crush. That was my crush in middle school. So we are so connected, and I said, oh my gosh, Rick was in a group, it would be a gang today. Rick was in a group called the Big Five, and they were my favorites. Oh my gosh. So we have a lot of history, and they both had incredible careers with the district. And gosh, Rick, you were an administrator, and I loved it when I left Sunrise. We did a lot of shows at Sunrise also, and at that time, while we were doing shows, I met Janet Thorgrimson. And Janet, raise your hand so we all know who you are. And Janet wanted me to come over to Twin Lakes. She goes, you've got to come over to Twin Lakes and do the rock and roll shows with us. So after 25 years, I moved to Twin Lakes. Twin Lakes. Yay. Yes, and I love my girlfriends at Twin Lakes. Carrie, woohoo! I had Janet, I had Chris. Where are you, Chris? I had Chris, and I had other Chris, and I had Josie, and I had Michelle, and we became girlfriends, and we had such an incredible time doing shows. You all will...
Deborah, that
And back into it. Okay, Janet, I will do that. And then from Twin Lakes, I decided to, I'm going to say, punish myself for all of the rude things I did in middle school. I thought, you know what? Before my career's over, I want to go teach middle school. And so I spent the last 12 years at Barrett Middle School. A lot of my Barrett peeps right over here. And I can't tell you what you guys have meant to me. It's really hard. My partner, Don, where's my partner, Don? Oh, Don and I have lived next door to each other, classrooms. 10 years, Don. We were in each other's classrooms in between periods, laughing, talking, venting. I kind of mothered him a lot, too. And what I loved is he met me. And, he has been just my best friend. We were, like, attached at the hip. And funny part is, both Don and I, within one day, had to have our hips replaced. Don on that side and mine on that side. And so we are very connected, Don. I also, my buddy Logan. Logan, raise your hand, Logan, so everyone knows who you are. Logan, seriously, you have just been wonderful, and I love working with you. I love your music and all of the talks after school, and you've just been my best buddy. I always call him Buddy because he's the same age as my kids. And so Logan has been my buddy. And my lunch peeps. Oh my gosh, just having lunch with you guys and being able to gossip and vent and gossip and vent and laugh. We have laughed so much. I'm gonna miss that. Cindy, thank you for babying me for the last, raise your hand, Cindy, everyone knows who you are. She babies me because she calls my subs for me. She, I always just, oh, Cindy, will you? And she just is so special that way. Thank you. I adore you, Cindy, and I'm going to miss you so much. You're a wealth. And Val, thank you for the wonderful time that Val was the VP. Raise your hand, Val, so everybody knows. And we've had such a fun time together, and Val's very sweet too. Val came to me, I think it was a week before I retired, and she said, Deborah, would you mind answering some of your voicemails? You have your phone in your room, don't answer that. And I go, what do you mean? She goes, we have 70. I said, oh, too close to retirement. Bye-bye. I don't care. And if they can't email, what's wrong with them? Don't want to talk. All of my JV dancers, raise your hand if you were a JV dancer, of course. And if you pick up those little bands, our picture is right. That was our last performance. What an incredible experience that was. Miss Jean Osterkamp. Oh gosh, I wish I had time to talk about her, because she is the most organized. She's the most organized person, and they surprised me with a routine, because I'm usually the person always in control. I decide what's going on. I had no idea they surprised me with an incredible routine and t-shirts, and it was for my last show. It was awesome. Thank you, and thank you to all the JV dancers. And I already miss you guys a lot. I really do. And thank you. I just want you to know that, Brent, I've said it once, I'm going to say it 100 times, you've been my favorite principal. I love you, Brent, and I've taught for 17 principals. 17. Sunrise alone had 10. There was someone in there for an interim or whatever, but yes, I have taught for 17 principals. And yes, Brent, you have been my favorite. I loved working for you. People say to me, so what are you going to do? My answer is anything I want. You guys, seriously, thank you so much for coming, and I want to give a shout out also to my wonderful ballroom instructors that are sitting over there. Bob and Alita, I've had many years dancing with them, not many, but they've had many, and they're wonderful. And Bob has come into my classroom and taught my middle school kids how to swing. And you guys are just a wealth, and I appreciate you so much. My girlfriends, oh my gosh, my Bunko sisters. Oh, come on, raise your hand if you're one of my Bunko sisters. Raise it big, come on. I have to tell you, we don't play. We used to, but we've been together since 1977. So at this point, we don't play anymore. I just adore you, and you guys will always be together. We have to figure out how we can get a home together, and way later, and someone does the cooking, someone does the cleaning, someone does the organizing. Let's play games and eat. Lori, if you do not know Lori Fagnani, Lori, could you rate? You might have to stand because I don't know if everybody can see you. Lori, she's kind of the person that got me to come over to Barrett, and I just want to say she's been such a dear friend to me, and a counselor. We're constantly happy to talk, and Lori, I love you, and thank you so much. And I also, Craig just retired too. Oh, I know, and he's so excited. He's been, well, besides being my dear, dear, dear friend that I adore, he has been so great for the district, and yes, he's been wonderful for the district, and Craig, thank you for everything you do, and I love you too, I do. I want to thank all the people that came from away. Thank you so much for getting here, and you have really nothing to do with me teaching, but that table right there, going clear back to Mr. Fred Taylor. Fred, can you hear me? Just being part of my life. Dennis, I know, I adore all of you, and yes, I'm so thankful that you came. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming.